Okay, Richard, why don't you take it away?
All right, thanks, Matt. Oop. So I just want to say welcome to everybody to join our IoT event today. Our webinar is the first in a series that ZeroKey is looking to host. And today we're looking at talking about social distancing and contact tracing in the workplace. So my name is Richard Simpson, and I'm the VP of Business Development here at ZeroKey. I'm coming to you live from our Calgary HQ. Ironically, I've only been here 3 times since March 10th, which I think is kind of an interesting segue into our topic today as we're talking about people getting back into the workplace in a safe way. So I want to thank you for joining us. We have a pretty amazing group running from Singapore to Europe joining us today, which is very exciting. And essentially, our goal today is to give you a little bit of history about the company and what we're currently doing with our technology in the IIoT space. At the end, there should be ample time for us to get into Q&A. If you have any questions, you can enter those into the chat, and Matt is going to be documenting those for us to follow up on at the end. So to kick it off, we are really excited to be able to introduce to you guys the ZeroKey safe space technology. Essentially, it's a wearable social distancing technology that we're super excited about because we've essentially taken our core technology that we're already utilizing in place in industry, and we've repurposed it and redesigned it to provide a solution back to industry and to businesses to allow you to get back up and running and prioritize safety of your employees in doing so. So here's a little bit of a video for you.
We all want to get back to work and back to doing what we do best. But the threat of COVID-19 in the workplace looms over all of us. Employees may be concerned about the risk of infection when returning to work, while businesses are concerned about the impact of potential closures due to a workplace outbreak. Safe Space from ZeroKey can help. Safe Space is a commercial social distancing and contact tracing solution. Here's how it works. Each employee is provided a small wristband or clip-on tag. Using ZeroKey's patented ranging technology, devices passively measure their range to other devices. When the devices get too close, they vibrate and beep, letting the wearers know they need to back up. An optional subscription service provides advanced contact tracing capabilities, which leverage SmartSpace's millimeter-level accuracy and artificial intelligence to provide surgical precision in tracing contacts of an infected person. At the core of Safe Space is a focus on privacy and security. Granular enterprise-grade access controls and military-strength encryption ensures personal data is kept under lock and key. With on-premises and in-cloud options, the technology stack is designed to fit any enterprise environment. To learn more or to place an order, visit zerokey.com/safespace.
So you might be asking yourself, why did ZeroKey bring a COVID solution into the marketplace? Well, essentially the reason we did it is because our technology is a great fit. We've heard from talking to our clients and our network that bringing back workers in a safe and measured manner is a key priority around the world. You know, companies are trying to mitigate lost revenue, they've got reduced productivity, and they're trying to avoid closures of facilities. Governments and businesses are looking to mitigate these risks as well on behalf of employees and businesses to keep them open. When we look at Export Development Canada put out a recent paper that gives an initial impact of what COVID has done to the economy. You can see there's a huge impact to employees and businesses. When you add it up, 70% of the businesses saw a big reduction in their production, and some of them even saw full stoppage. And this is not surprising that it also corresponds to employee salaries and wages and their hours. So when we look at that from a social distancing perspective, you know, there's a huge impact all around. There's limited or no access to the traditional workspace. Remote working scenarios are causing all kinds of stresses at home for people. There's an impact to employee pay. And I dare say that these stats that we've looked at have increased drastically since this paper was first produced. You know, there's a significant impact globally when we look at economies and industries. So I'm going to let that data sink in just a little bit, and I'm going to shift gears. And I want to give you a little glimpse into the journey of where ZeroKey has been and provide a little bit of the origin story. And I'll provide a shorter one than Matt would provide. So to look into the future, we need to look backwards a little bit. So if we think back to 2002, there was a movie called Minority Report, and Tom Cruise was wearing futuristic gloves and manipulating images in space. Or more currently, but not that much further, in 2008, Tony Stark was perfecting his Iron Man in his lab with virtual screens and monitors. Well, initially, the core kernel or kind of that spark for Matt in producing this new technology was from the Minority Report. And he was trying to deal with a colicky baby in one hand and trying to type and do work while he's dealing with his child. So his idea was a virtual keyboard. You know, how could I get my work done and just be able to work in space? So essentially tapping on a table, but actually having no tool or no actual keyboard there. And he figured out that the crux of this problem was that he needed to have his hands tracked really accurately. So it took years of R&D, utilizing sound and a great deal of math. A proof of concept came out of this. But during this process, Matt saw an opportunity that was beyond making a keyboard so he could get work done while his child was crying in his arms. He saw an opportunity to apply this into the VR and AR world. And thus, we got an MVP done, and Big Room, which was the original technology that was produced by ZeroKey a number of years ago. It provided room scale solution for VR capabilities and essentially gave you millimeter accuracy of tracking hands with near zero latency to give a really comfortable big room experience. So how did we get here? How did we get to working with some of the biggest industrial companies in the world and some of the most prestigious automotive brands? Well, here's a little video to give you a kernel.
Now, there's a lot of technology that we don't think of as being fit for mobile consumption, and virtual reality is pretty much at the top of that list. But wait until you see the future. You're going to be able to wave your arm around and watch your drawings come to life.
But that's about to change with ZeroKey. And what these guys are using are acoustic sensors. Now, you'll see these that I'm surrounded by right here, and they're a little bit bigger, but that's because it's a proof of concept from ZeroKey. What they're going to end up with are these little guys right here. All these little acoustic sensors, very portable, very mobile, and can actually be set up around you to create that little perimeter. Now what happens to create that perimeter, I'm gonna get my sound guy to lower the boom a little bit. Come on down. You guys hear that? So what ZeroKey is doing is essentially using echolocation. So that clicking sound goes to these acoustic sensors, and then a lot of math happens to determine how long it took for that click to get the acoustic sensor, and that determines the physical space that's around you. Now what you can do in that physical space is pretty dope. So the demo that ZeroKey has here at Mobile World Congress is basically drawing in midair just to show that, yeah, in fact, this is actually happening. So on this screen right here, you can see as I move this controller around, that little green box is moving, which means I am being tracked perfectly inside this little space. Now once I hit the button, I can start drawing things. Now, it's just a demo and my artistic skills really aren't that on point right now, but I'm telling you, at Mobile World Congress, seeing tech like this from ZeroKey is making me have a nice day.
Thanks, Lucas. He'll be back tomorrow, but that doesn't mean our look at tech for the day is done.
We're off to...
So that really was a turning point for ZeroKey as a business. That was filmed during Mobile World Congress in 2018 in Barcelona. And the Discovery Channel sought us out to be able to get that piece done. The really cool thing about it was shot live on the Mobile World Congress floor. We essentially cleared out a space and set up a bunch of equipment to start filming. And that was our original developer's kit, which we're many versions beyond now. It was a kind of a serendipitous moment for us, though. We had a really lucky passerby. And an individual who was a senior executive for one of the world's biggest automotive companies happened to see the video being made. They decided to stop and take it in. And the great thing was that they saw a great opportunity to apply our technology into their space and really solve problems that they had spent millions of dollars and a number of years trying to achieve. 3 weeks later, Matt and a group of our guys were in their head office plant and were putting our technology into deployment. So just going to give you a kind of a high gloss over of what our core technology is all about. And essentially, you know, our core business is in the industrial or manufacturing and supply chain type of environment. We have a quite an incredible patented technology. The primary enabler of our tech is ultrasonics or sound. And what we do is we deploy our anchor nodes into an environment. So as you'll see on the screen, here we're dealing with something like a warehouse or supply chain. And we would put our nodes into that environment, whether it be on the rafters, beams, or otherwise. And those anchor nodes can track any one of the other nodes that are in the environment to millimeter accuracy. So that can be a person, a pallet, an AGV, a forklift. It really doesn't matter what that asset is, but we can track that in incredible accuracy. And compared to the market, we're 100 times more accurate than our closest competition. And one of the really interesting things is when you get into more industrial applications, those competitors actually lose more and more accuracy where we can still maintain it. So for the last 2 years, we've spent a lot of time working on industrial solutions. And as I've mentioned, our core focus has been around the automotive and manufacturing area, but that's starting to grow significantly. So just to kind of throw a few buzz terms around, our strengths really lie in the industrial Internet of Things, Industry 4.0, and the factory of the future. And you know, to bring it right down to the bottom line, we can visualize things in a way that have never been before available to organizations. And another key piece of that is that we can make the human interactions in those areas even more valuable to organizations. So let's jump back to safe space and talk about, you know, the return to work post-COVID. So how does our tech assist getting manufacturing, production, and other businesses back online in a very safe and orderly manner? Well, we've taken our cutting edge technology and we've repurposed it to be a much more agile solution to provide a tool for organizations to be able to monitor that safe distancing and reinforce good habits. So the cool thing is we've really kind of stripped it down. We no longer need anchors in the facility, and we've enabled our tech to essentially talk to itself wearable to wearable and be able to measure that proximity. So essentially employees wear our safe space nodes, whether it's wrist or a clip, and those nodes can be set to a predefined distance. If two nodes come too close together, we call that a collision, and there's either an audible alert or a vibration that can be created to signify that they need to step apart. Those two parameters can even be set differently if you wanted to have the vibration go off at 2.5 meters and the audible alarm go off at 2 meters. It's very flexible for that. So as I mentioned, the core thing that we're trying to achieve here on behalf of clients is to reinforce good behaviors, to support the safe distancing in a workplace, to bring peace of mind to the employees that are coming back to work, and also to support the health and safety initiatives of organizations. So we have a little chart here which shows some of the technical specs related to the technology. You know, the nodes are basically working on rechargeable batteries. Their connectivity is via USB for recharging, so standard type of cord that most people are going to have at home. The battery life can vary a little bit depending on the update rate that you're looking to achieve. And the nodes are designed to last up to 3 days before needing to go back for recharge. So you'll notice that we have two versions of our nodes. On the left, we have the wristband, which is just a very light, convenient, and comfortable way to wear the node. That particular model is going to be available in a future production of the tech. Then we have our orange one, which is our clip-on, and that's geared to a much more rugged and versatile type of use. It's got a very heavy-duty clip on the back of it, similar to other types of devices in market for other types of sensing that can clip onto almost anything. So it can go onto a hard hat, which we've done in some industrial uses, can clip onto overalls, onto a harness if people are doing high work, or onto a safety vest, whatever you need it to clip to. It's very easy to get on. It's also really easy to set up and deploy. People need to wear it. That's really the key feature of it. Other than that, as I mentioned, if two people come too close together, it's going to give them that alert. And that's going to, you can set that distance to whatever parameter you desire, and it'll alert only when that is broken. So I'm going to give you a little sneak peek into the new technology that we have. So as you can see in the video, the technology works very, very simply, and it alerts people very, very easily. One of the additional parts of the solution that we can provide to clients is the contact tracing piece. And as you can see here from the system architecture, it's quite simple and quite easy to deploy on site. Essentially, what's required is the addition of the gateways. And the gateways are the devices that are going to collect the data off the nodes. And essentially, by putting those into the high ingress egress areas or areas where people tend to congregate, you're going to be able to capture that data for future use. The historical data can be held for whatever parameter of time you want to hold it for, or indefinitely. Totally depends on how you want to design it. And what you can do is, should the scenario occur where somebody tests positive, you can go back and check who they had collisions with over the last 10 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or even who they've had near collisions with, so that you can alert people that there's a potential that maybe they should be going and getting some assistance and checked out. The information is timestamped and encrypted for security. And we use role-based permissions for being able to make sure that the data is safe and sound wherever you want to be storing it. In addition, the firmware can be uploaded over the air. So to get to the pricing, as I mentioned, just for the safe space solution and the nodes being deployed with your employees, those are at $60 US per unit. And then if you want to add on the contact tracing solution, essentially that's based on a subscription model. So $2.50 per unit per month, and that's based on an annual subscription. That's it for my my little dissertation to you, and we'd be more than happy to talk to you about and answer some of the questions that you may have for us.
Thanks, Richard. And just to let everyone know, if they do have questions, just dump those either in the chat or the QA section in Zoom there. But we got a few to kick off with. I think I got asked this one 4 or 5 times. Can we change the distance setting on the node-to-node alert zone?
Yeah, without a doubt. The distance can be set to whatever parameters you feel are necessary. Obviously, as you look around nationally, wherever you live, or internationally, there are different parameters that people are using for that safe zone, whether it's 2 meters, 2.5 meters, that can be adjusted accordingly.
Perfect. And are we selling direct or through partners?
Yeah, currently we are selling direct. So I am the guy that you want to talk to. We can connect via our websites, or my information will be coming up on the last slide, and we'd be happy to chat with you.
Cool. And when are the first batch of units available?
The first batch of units are essentially going to be available at the beginning of June, and they will be the orange clip-on node in the first batch.
Cool. And what is the cost of a gateway?
So the gateways, it's a piece that I forgot to throw in actually. Essentially, if you go with the subscription model, for every 40 nodes purchased, we'll provide a gateway in that subscription model. If you do require, for some reason, more than that, which you're likely not going to, they'd be available at $75 a unit.
And can this be used at large events of 30,000 plus users?
Essentially, it's a limitless type of solution. So, you may want to increase the number of gateways so that you're not trying to push too much information, but essentially, the more the merrier. It links together and meshes together very nicely.
And for contact tracing, how do the receivers communicate with the gateways?
So the technology will be transmitting down to the gateway. There's an RF signal for providing that information. Those gateways, generally speaking, would be connected via power over Ethernet to whatever backend solution the client would desire.
Great. And does the addition of contact tracing impact battery life of the wearables?
No, the battery life is based on it running. It's not based on it sharing in the information through the gateway. As I mentioned, we're looking at 3 days of use before looking at having to go through a recharge.
And are there any white papers available for the technology?
We do have a white paper on our website, and if you can't find it, send me an email. I'd be happy to share it with you, but it's available right off our website.
And does the gateway support Wi-Fi or LTE?
I'm going to make Matt answer this question because he's trying to throw a curveball at me.
So the answer is no. The gateways are power over Ethernet, so they can be connected to the network, but they don't have Wi-Fi or LTE built in natively. But of course, you could add that with a Ethernet LTE or Wi-Fi modem.
Thanks, Matt.
And final question, maybe a second curveball. Do you expect the market to be there 1 year from now?
I think that's a curveball for everybody. It depends who you want to listen to and who you want to believe. The reality from all of the different people I'm talking to is that it's a great unknown. There's a great expectation that it's going to run this year. And especially if you look at the automotive sector, they're anticipating that it's going to go well into 2021. So yeah, it's a very, very tricky scenario to understand. And obviously, different companies are going to deal with this differently. So really, it's going to be, how complex and how large is your environment that you're trying to fit this solution into, and bringing back workers in a safe way is a very important thing. So from what we see today, clients are moving slowly. So I anticipate it'll be around for more than a year.
Cool.
And actually, I'm going to add on one more to that. The great thing about our technology also is that should you decide to move to a more full-scale model of our technology, these nodes can be transferred and used in those types of scenarios as well.
Okay, so I think we got time for just 2 quick questions here. And then any questions that we didn't have time to get around to, we'll follow up with you guys directly and make sure we get around to that. So second last question, is the typical use case for the wearer to wear the same clip on each day, or to turn them in and pick up a different one each day?
That definitely does vary conversation to conversation with clients. With with clients that are looking to do contact tracing, obviously keeping that, that trackable or that node with the individual is going to be more important. If it is merely for giving the social distancing, then you've probably got a lot more flexibility. But if it's person to person, then there's a bit more accountability for also keeping them charged for working.
Great. And I'm going to answer this last question here. The question was, what RF spectrum are we using and what protocol? So we are using the 2.4 gigahertz unlicensed spectrum, and it is a proprietary communication protocol. Awesome. And I'll turn it over to you, Richard, just to close it out there.
All right. Well, thanks, Matt. And thanks for all the questions. As Matt mentioned, we would be more than happy to answer more questions or provide more information to you and your teams. My information is obviously at the bottom of this slide. We really look forward to connecting with you, and we hope everyone stays healthy, happy, and safe. Take care.